Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm filming this immediately after having filmed the last one in the hopes of catching up on the schedule a little bit because it's just been so long since it's been a regular podcast, and I'd really like to get back in the habit because I've got a lot of cool segues that I really want to share with you. Now, this one is a combination of two just really songs by fantastic singer-songwriters. Both of them have incredible vocal ranges that by far outdo mine, so hopefully you can deal with my renditions. The first is a song called Fitzcarraldo by a band called The Frames, which many people know just on their own is an incredible Irish rock band, but many people also know as it's the band that Glenn Hansard of Once fame is the frontman of and the main songwriter for. And so this is one of their songs. And the second song is by our old friend Mr. Will Dailey, who if you haven't checked out yet, do it. This is another one from his amazing National Throat album, and it's called Look Out Johnny. Now both these songs are in very similar tempos and in F sharp minor, so that's our commonality point. Now, starting with Fitzcarraldo, it's from an album of the same name. It's difficult to decipher the story of the lyrics. It's has allusions to the movie of the same name, but it's not the same story, clearly. It's sort of a tortured, sort of star-crossed love story as far as I can decipher, but either way, it's still very powerful, not least in the way that Glenn Hansard and his incredible voice can sing it. And I'm going to play just a verse-chorus so you get the picture of how it feels. I'm going to start with the second verse because there's two verses before the chorus, just for the sake of time and simplicity. Even the good stars can fall from grace and falter, lose their faith and slide, but I can't find an ocean that's deep enough for my day. It's the first of the ascension, it's a sad way. We've flown after the storm, and her last words was only think of you in my golden days. I was a slave. And the instrumentation and the structure of the whole song is incredible. The Frames are one of the few rock bands I know of that has a full-time fiddle player. So that's worth checking out. But also there's a version on an album called Strict Joy. The artist listed for that is The Swell Season, which is the name chosen by Glenn Hansard and Markéta Irglova, who was the other star of Once, for their performance group. And it's basically just them and other members of the Frames. So she's the only, I guess, real wild card of the lineup compared to the Frames. But on I think it's just on iTunes, the deluxe edition of the Swell Season's album Strict Joy, there was a complete live concert by the Swell Season, and the whole thing is amazing. But the version of Fitzcarraldo, I think it's the first encore, or either that or the one just before the encore break, is just so powerful and so just emotionally played in Markéta's piano harmonizing with the guitars. It's incredible. You have to hear it. You really do. So that's my speech for that one. Now, Look Out Johnny is similarly emotional, but it's much more angry as opposed to angsty. And this is, and I've talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, especially when we had the How Good It Feels eulogy for a rock band segue. This is on the National Throat album, which was Will Dailey's sort of comeback, I guess. long story short, he fell out with the big label he was signing because they were just over controlling, micromanaging, and he was just not comfortable working with them, and they were making things as difficult as possible. And eventually he walked away, and they gave him the whole "you'll never work in this town again, you'll come crawling back" speech. And instead he put out an incredible album that made it onto the Billboard Heat Seekers chart. And this is one of the songs that is, I guess, very thinly veiled response to those record company bigwigs. And it's somewhere between a wagging pointer finger and a display of another finger that I won't do on camera here, just for the sake of whoever may be watching. But it's basically, it's a warning to those in power, the high-flying fat cats, that sooner or later what goes around comes around. There is such a thing as karma or retribution, or you get what you give, or the golden rule, or however you want to think about it. But sooner or later, if you keep treating people the way you're treating people from up high, it's all going to turn around, and it's going to come back and hit you hard. And all the people you stepped on your way up will be laughing at you as you fall. So this is one of those kind of songs, and when I'm just frustrated with people, this is one of my go-to songs because it feels so good. And it's, again, all same tempo, or at least roughly, and is also in F sharp minor. A little more staccato. Saxophone line that I'm doing between the chords incidentally. It is correct, it just sounds strange. I don't know why I let what fooled me once fool me twice, but that's what I get for trusting things with their load. Oh, look out, Johnny, there's a hammer coming down, right in the place where you keep your crown. Oh, look out, Johnny, there's a hammer coming down your way. Then it goes to the second verse. Now, both of these songs, as you may have picked up on, in addition to making good use of, well, I guess just the key and the chords, have similar tensions on those chords, and they both use the dominant fifth very strategically in very powerful places. And that's probably what led me to combine these. I wish I could have a really clever story, but I was just actually playing these on guitar on a boat cruise with the family out on the lake one time, and I was just trying to do like a stop time thing while playing the end of Fitzcarraldo, and I was like, wait a minute, let's look out, Johnny, I think I could do something with that. And both of the songs are more suited to guitar, unless I'm the one playing the guitar, because I'm not that great with the guitar. And I'd have to use a capo and everything, and even then, the chords don't ring through as clearly. So that's why I'm doing this one on the piano. But it's a pretty straightforward segue, and the two stories are very different, so I like to do just one into the other, not going back. And personally, I like to start with Fitzcarraldo and then go to Look Out, Johnny, because it's a bit of a build-up. Fitzcarraldo is more pain and angst and sadness, whereas Look Out, Johnny is righteous anger and retribution and fury. So really, it's sort of a big crescendo through the whole thing. And that's also in part because Fitzcarraldo ends on a big crescendo. The whole song is kind of a crescendo, but then it builds, like at the end, after the last sort of chorus, each chorus is a little different. That's why I'm uncertain if I call it a chorus. It breaks down to this really, really quiet just loop of these two chords, F sharp minor and D major. then Glenn's voice comes back in as the band builds up. It's a long way to Fitzcarraldo. I don't want to break you. In the name of something true. Guitars and the piano and the fiddle are all weaving around these lines, and it's just so intense. And then it all just breaks. I don't know why I let what fool me once, fool me twice. And as you can hear, it's still a big shift in mood. Basically, Fitzcarraldo just builds up, and then bursts into this new song. And that's the way I like to do it. You can, of course, I'm sure you can do it the other way. Basically there's this F sharp minor, B minor, A, C sharp loop, and look out Johnny if you wanted to at the end. Just sort of resolve that to an F sharp minor and start looping it with the D and building it up slightly. You could do that, but to me it just doesn't carry the same impact, but that's just my opinion. But my purpose here is just to plant the seeds of thought in your heads to come up with segues of your own, or twist these segues into any way you see fit. So hopefully you've enjoyed, hopefully you've learned something, and who knows, hopefully I'll see you again sometime soon. Thanks as always for watching. Really appreciate it.